Today on the show, are we dropping Joe Musgrove? A lot of injury replacements, Bobby Miller breakdown, should we be stashing Pete Crow-Armstrong, and two-star pitchers, all coming up on Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. All right, welcome everybody to Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. I am Will Power, your fantasy baseball analyst. As you can see, Javi's not with me here today, but we do have a special guest coming on the show today. He has been on the show before, and it's been a little while since he's been on, so hopefully he'll get on soon. He just got off of work, so he will be joining me shortly. Looks like we have a comment already from It's Matt Dude. What do I do with Wander? So I do have some notes on Wander Franco for a later bit in the show, but since you're asking now, there's been talks about Wander Franco not ever playing an MLB game ever again for the rest of his career. Career is basically over. So supposedly, this is all just kind of hearsay right now. We don't know what's going on. There is an investigation, an active investigation going on in the Dominican Republic right now. I personally have Wander Franco in one of my leagues, and thank God I have a NA spot in that league. So because he is currently suspended, I was able to move him into that NA spot. So I do have some shortstop replacements that could possibly help you, later on in the show. So if you can stick around for a little bit, we'll get to that. First, I would like to talk about Joe Musgrove. So that's another one that is probably not going to be back for this season. And if he does, it's going to be in late September. So personally, I think that Joe Musgrove, if you can stash him in an IL slot, maybe he might be available for your championship week or possibly your the semifinals championship or semifinals, hopefully you can stash him for now. But if you can't, if you're just piling up with injuries and you need that roster spot, I think it's pretty safe to say that you could probably drop Joe Musgrove. He's not even throwing right now. He's shut down for about 3 weeks. So I would assume that all fantasy playoffs are going to be done before Joe Musgrove is even fantasy relevant again this season. Look to draft him again next season. Hopefully he'll come back strong. All right. And let's see. Injury replacements. We got a lot of injury replacements to talk about today. And here we go. All right. So first, Shane McClanahan out for the season with Tommy John surgery. And Marcus Stroman, original IL stint was for hip inflammation, but unfortunately he suffered a major setback and he fractured. He had a rib fracture. So unfortunately, it looks like Marcus Stroman doesn't have a timetable to return this season, but I don't really see him coming back at all this season. So hopefully you have an IL slot where you can put him in. If not, I think he's possibly droppable. I don't know. It's kind of iffy with Marcus Stroman. So in redraft leagues, you can definitely drop Shane McClanahan. He's probably not going to be available for for the rest of the season for sure, and possibly not even any of 2024. So next season, steer clear of Shane McClanahan. I'm sure no one's going to draft him. Towards the end of the season, kind of keep an eye on him. Maybe he'll get the okay to come back to Major League Baseball, but it's going to take a while. Tommy John surgery usually takes about a year for pitchers to come back and be able to throw in Major League games again. So it's about a 9-month process to actually just start like a throwing program, and it's a long recovery. So I wouldn't put too much stock into Shane McClanahan for next year either. So first, I have Kenta Maeda, who is a decent fantasy option for replacement starting pitcher. He is currently 66% rostered. Last 3 months have actually looked really good for Kenta Maeda. In June, he had 2 starts, posted a 1.80 ERA. In July, in 5 starts, he had a 2.93 ERA. And so far in August, in 3 starts, he has a 2.81 ERA. 28.9% K rate, which is amazing. We've never seen Kenta Maeda as a strikeout pitcher, but for some reason, something's going right for him this year, and he just seems to be striking out a lot more batters than usual. 6.3% walk rate. It's his lowest since 2017. He has 82 strikeouts and 69.2 innings pitched. Looking at the rest of the season, if you look at the schedule, he only has one tough matchup the rest of the season. That's versus Texas on September 3rd, so that's coming up pretty quick. But other than that, he actually has a pretty decent schedule. So I would definitely be looking to roster Kenta Maeda wherever he's available. Next, we have Gavin Williams, currently 56% rostered, has a 2.80 ERA on the season. Back-to-back 10-plus K outings at Tampa, 5 innings pitched, 10 Ks, versus Toronto, 7 innings pitched, 12 Ks. Faces the Dodgers next week and at Texas August 15th, but easy matchups otherwise rest of season. Gavin Williams, he was actually on my radar before he even got called up. He was a very high strikeout pitcher in the minors, and he was regarded as a top prospect. I really think that, Gavin Williams has potential to be an ace. So if he is available in any of your leagues, I would definitely like to pick up Gavin Williams. He's definitely worth rostering the rest of the season. Let's see. I got 2 more starting pitchers as replacements. There's Chase Silseth, 44% rostered. Last 2 months in July, he posted a 1.69 ERA in 2 starts and a 1.50 ERA in 2 starts in August. Has a 0.88 whip. He doesn't give up a lot of hits, doesn't give up a lot of walks. Really amazing. 46 strikeouts in 41.1 innings. All good matchups going forward, but the problem with Silseth is he plays for the Angels, and he's going to be part of a 6-man rotation, depending on Ohtani. Because I know that Ohtani had his previous start skipped because of arm fatigue. So, if Ohtani really isn't going to be pitching for the rest of the season because of that arm fatigue, then we can look for Silseth to be part of a 5-man rotation, and his schedule is going to change going forward. But, if Ohtani is going to be pitching for the rest of the season, he's probably going to be pitching only once a week, once every 6 days. So, got to think about that. Maybe he might not be worth rostering rest of season, except for maybe in a categories league or roto. He should be able to help your ratios, your ERA, your whip. But when it comes to points leagues, since he's only going to be making 1 start each week, once every 6 days, it's going to be hard for him to be, anything more than just a streamer. Unless you're in a deeper league. And yes, go ahead and add Chase Silseth. I use him a few times as a streamer, but not someone that I would want to roster rest of season. Brady Singer is next up, 60% rostered. Last 3 starts, he has a 2.05 ERA. On August 14th, it was versus Seattle, 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs on 2 hits, 8 strikeouts and 1 walk. At Boston, 6.2 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, 4 Ks, and 2 walks. And versus the New York Mets, 8 innings pitched, 0 earned runs, 3 hits, 4 Ks, and no walks. So the walks have been pretty decent. Had 2 walks against Boston, but other than that, it's 1 or fewer in his last few starts. Not giving up a lot of hits, not giving up a lot of hard contact. He has the Cubs this Saturday at Seattle on the next few matchups are pretty rough. Seattle has been, they're trying to at least get one of the wild card spots. So they're really trying. They're really playing good baseball right now. So he has at Seattle versus Houston, and then at Houston, and then versus the Yankees. So it looks like versus the Yankees is the only decent matchup that he actually has. I don't trust him versus Houston or at Houston. I feel like Houston just has too much of a good lineup, and Brady Singer can't be relied on. I don't think his good luck is going to last for that long. So out of these 4, we have Kenta Maeda, Gavin Williams, Chase Silseth, and Brady Singer. I'm really looking to roster Kenta Maeda and Gavin Williams. If I had to choose between the two of them, I would probably go. It's hard. I'll probably go Kenta Maeda. I think the experience is there. You know, he's an older pitcher. He's been around the league for a while now, and I love the changes that he's made to his game, and he's looking really good rest of the season. All right, first base, we have Jose Abreu out with back inflammation. Hopefully, it'll only be a 10-day IL stint, but I actually have some replacements here for you guys. First, I have Joey Meneses, 69% rostered. He's first base and outfield eligible. So far this season, he has a 281 batting average with 11 home runs. Last 30 games, a 291 batting average with 5 home runs. Very consistent this season. He's an older player. He's 29 years old. A lot of people don't recognize the name, but he has been around for a little while. 20% K rate. He's an older rookie. Oh, I'm sorry. He's 31 years old. I thought he was 29. 31 years old, but he's been great all season. Spent a lot of time in the minors. He was basically like a career minor leaguer. He, from 2011 to 2017, he was in the Braves farm system, got traded in 2018, was in the Phillies minor league system. And then from 2021 to the present, he's been in the Washington farm system up until last year when he finally got the call up. So, just looking at his history in the Braves from 2011 to 2017, he was basically blocked. Freddie Freeman had that spot locked up for so long in Atlanta. And that's basically why he didn't get the call up until it was a little bit late, or actually basically never got the call up. And in 2018 in the minors, playing for Philadelphia, that is when Philly ended up signing Carlos Santana. And, Philly had their first baseman locked up for a while. They even had Rhys Hoskins at the time and moved Rhys Hoskins to left field because they needed to make sure that they had room on the roster for Carlos Santana. Santana ended up leaving, and then Rhys Hoskins took over at first base, which is why Joey Meneses actually got traded to the Washington Nationals. In 2021, he was blocked again with Josh Bell and Ryan Zimmerman, manning first base for Washington. But, Ryan Zimmerman's gone, retired, and Josh Bell is gone. So Meneses has finally gotten his major league call-up, and he's looking really good this season. So definitely like Joey Meneses. I'm looking to roster Joey Meneses wherever I can. Next coming up is Jake Cronenworth. 67% rostered. He has first base, second base, and shortstop eligibility. In 2023 so far, he's batting .231 with 10 home runs. So not the greatest numbers. He's definitely on a steady decline that I'm kind of seeing over the years. Last 30 days, he's batting .291 with 2 home runs and 2 stolen bases. Has a 18.5% K rate. So that's actually pretty good. 29 years old. Like I said, he looks to be in a steady decline. I don't trust his recent hot streak. Plus, it comes with a 87.2 mile an hour average exit velocity in a struggling Padres lineup. So, doesn't hit the ball very hard. He's in a weaker lineup that should be a lot better. The Padres look really good, coming into this season, but they just haven't been performing as well as they should have been this season. So, Jake Cronenworth, he's kind of like a last resort. If Joey Meneses is out there, definitely go for Meneses. If not, I think Jake Cronenworth is a decent option just to ride this hot streak. The next guy I want to talk about is Josh Bell. So Josh Bell is currently 55% rostered, plays first base eligibility only. In 2023 so far, he's a .244 batting average with 16 home runs. Last 30 games, a .287 batting average with 7 home runs, 21.4% K rate. It's pretty good. .269 expected batting average. So he's underperforming his expected batting average just a little bit. But ever since he's been traded to the Marlins, he has been just on a really good hot streak. He raised his launch angle this season from 8.4 to 9.1 degrees. So a little bit higher, which means, his hard hit balls are going to be flying a little bit farther than they were in previous seasons. Average exit velocity is at 89.9 miles per hour. Max exit velocity at 114 miles per hour. So he is hitting the ball very, very hard. Couple more guys that I want to talk about. So points leagues and categories leagues, they come with different strategies. In a points league, the next guy I want to talk about is Ty France. 69% rostered, has first base and third base eligibility. 2023, he has a 259 batting average with 10 home runs. Last 30 games, he's batting 289 with 3 home runs and a 17.1% K rate. So really good strikeout rate. Doesn't really strike out too much. Has a 271 expected batting average. Does not hit the ball very hard at all. 86.9 miles an hour average exit velocity. So in points leagues, because of his plate discipline, because he gets on base a lot, I really like Ty France. But if you are playing in a categories league, the player that I want to talk about is Spencer Torkelson. 39% rostered, has first base eligibility. In 2023 so far, he's a 230 batting average with 21 home runs. Last 30 games, he has a 240 batting average with 9 home runs, a 24.4% K rate. So that's actually not terrible. 30% or less is usually what I'm looking for. He has a 260 expected batting average, so he's underperforming just a little bit, but that's because he plays in Detroit, and Detroit is known as a pitcher's ballpark. So it's really hard to hit home runs in Detroit, unless you're, a pull-heavy hitter. 92.5 average exit velocity. This guy hits the ball so freaking hard, man. Very young. I believe he's only 22 years old. So the downside is that he's on Detroit, but the power upside is highly valuable in categories leagues. That means it's going to be a lot of doubles and a lot of home runs. And it looks like our special guest has arrived. What's up, Tony?
Hey, what's up?
Welcome to the show, man. I'm glad you could get on. It's been a while since you've been on, dude.
For reals. Feels like forever.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
So far, I talked about starting pitcher replacements. I talked about Joe Musgrove, and I talked about first base replacements. So I'm just going to give a little rundown on what I kind of gave as little tidbits. So Joe Musgrove, I basically said that if your playoffs have started or if they're starting soon, go ahead and drop if you need to. Stash if you can, but he won't even be throwing until late August, so he's probably not going to be back before the fantasy playoffs end. And even if he does, he's shut down for 3 weeks, so it's going to be a while before he can actually build up to be able to throw 6 innings again. Any thoughts on Joe Musgrove?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Definitely have to think about it, dropping him, especially if you're either fighting for a playoff position or it's just a drop at this point almost. It's almost like an 8 out of 10 to drop because, like you said, he's more than likely going to miss the playoffs for fantasy, and not much value there, obviously, if he's not going to play.
And that sucks. I have him in one of my leagues, in our league actually, and dude, because of that, I'm struggling right now. I'm trying to get my second place spot. For those who don't know, Tony and I are actually going against each other this week, and we are fighting for that second place spot. I am only a half game back, so if I can pull off the win this week, it puts me back out, not on top, because that's Kevmo's spot. He's held on to that position basically all the way from week 3. Good trades, good draft. He's the one to beat this year. So I think it's going to be close, man. I think it's either going to be between me and you for that second place spot. And Kevin, I think Kevin actually has first place pretty locked in because we don't have much time left.
Yeah, I think it's done. There's only 1 game left, and we're pretty much 3 games back. So,
but no matter what, you and I are both in the playoffs, and everyone knows in baseball, fantasy baseball, and real baseball, anything can happen in the playoffs, man. Look at the Phillies last season. No one expected them to go all the way to the World Series, and they almost got it done, man.
Yeah, definitely. Anything can happen. Any player can get hot for you. Your best hitters can go cold. So. Towards the playoffs, sometimes it is do or die, and you do end up having to drop high value players, just so you can get by to the next round.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, if you have a struggling pitcher, You know, no one really comes to mind right now, but I remember in previous seasons, you know, there would be guys like Kershaw that towards the end of the season, or Scherzer, right, a couple of years ago when he was on the Dodgers, you know, towards the end of the season, he's just getting that arm fatigue, and you know, 7 points, 8 points, not going 6 innings. If you're in the playoffs currently and a pitcher is holding you back like that, you got to consider dropping. You know, no one's going to pick them up. You know, and if they do, then let them be someone else's problem. So after that, I talked about Shane McClanahan out for the season and Marcus Stroman with no current timetable for his return. I gave some replacement options. We have Kenta Maeda, Gavin Williams, Chase Silseth, and Brady Singer. So out of those four, do you have a favorite of which one that you would like to roster?
If you're in a keepers league, I would definitely go with Williams. He'll probably have the most value down the line. But if you're just in a regular league, it's pretty much a toss-up. I think I heard this part. I was trying to keep up, but I was like doing a bunch of things. You had mentioned you like Kenta Maeda a lot. I like him too. He did change up his pitch mix, so um, he's been solid. And like you said, that veteran presence and being there in tough situations definitely is a plus. He's been consistent lately, so you know that's one thing you can rely on some of these veterans. They're a little more
Dude,
consistent than the younger guys.
the strikeouts for Kenta Maeda, like where the hell did they come from? You know, I mean, it's like you said, like the pitch mix is a little bit different this year. Maybe it's the pitching coach for the Twins. Maybe he's working with Kenta Maeda and changing up his pitch mix. I did notice that his velocity on all his pitches is down about 2 miles an hour, and that could be another reason why he's actually being successful right now, because you have so many flamethrowers out there that are throwing 98, 99, 100 miles an hour. And, you know, these batters are getting used to that. They've already adjusted to that. But then when you have
Yeah,
another starting pitcher coming out and he's only throwing 92 or 93, it's a big difference. You know, it's like these guys that are throwing 100 miles an hour, their changeup is the same velocity as like Kenta Maeda's fastball. So when Kenta Maeda throws his changeup, it throws the batters just off completely.
yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of people get away with it. You know, Kershaw comes to mind. He doesn't have that fastball up in the high 90s or mid 90s. It's definitely in the lower. And then like Maeda, it just comes down to pitch selection and location and them
There's a
being
big
veterans.
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. There's a big difference between a thrower and a pitcher. You got guys like, I consider Walker Buehler a thrower, you know, throwing 98, 99 miles an hour, and he doesn't have the best breaking balls or like a really good changeup. He relies on a fastball, a four-seam fastball, a two-seamer, and I believe he has a sinker that he throws once in a while also. And he relies, you know, on living high in the zone, trying to get those swings and misses on his rising fastball. And that's kind of scary for me with Walker Buehler because he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. You remember what happened to Tim Lincecum, right? Comes back from Tommy John surgery. He used to throw about 100 miles an hour. And then when he comes back, he doesn't have it anymore. He's throwing 93, 94 miles an hour. And you can't do that. You have to change up your game. Kershaw changed up his game. He added a change up. You know, his curveball is amazing, probably one of the best curveballs in baseball, you know, but he is a pitcher. He works, he throws his sequence, you know, the way that he should to be able to get, you know, weak contact or strikeouts. And he's not just trying to like blow these fastballs by, you know, but
yeah,
I really like what I see with, you know, guys like Kershaw and Kenta Maeda for the future.
yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. So if I had to like rank them, like I said, it's pretty much a toss up for me. Between Kenta Maeda and Gavin Williams. If you're in the keepers league, I would probably just hold on to Williams just because of the long-term value. But after that, I would go Silseth and then Singer. I just I can't trust the Royals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
And
their
Singer's a little bit
offense is hot right
older.
now. But
Singer's been around for a little while, and we've never really seen him have like a breakout season
yeah,
until
he doesn't have a
just
great track
recently.
record.
Exactly. Next, we had Jose Abreu out with back inflammation. So I talked about replacements for him. Joey Meneses, 69% rostered. Jake Cronenworth, 67% rostered. Josh Bell, 55% rostered. And I gave my take on the fourth guy that I want to talk about in points leagues. I like Ty France. In categories leagues, I like Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah, Spencer's been tearing it up lately too.
A
He's been
lot of home runs that comes with a 240 batting average. So that's the reason why I don't really like him too much in points leagues, because he doesn't really get on base too often. He has a decent strikeout rate for being such a power hitter. It's under 30%. So that's always good. But, Ty France has an expected batting average of 270. Last 30 games, he's batting 290. So he gets on base a hell of a lot more than Torkelson does. Torkelson's the type of guy that can win your week for you, but
yeah.
Ty France is so consistent, he's more of the safer option.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Torkelson's kind of hot right now, and Ty France has always just been kind of steady and level. Never really gets on I would say, like too hot of a streak. I mean, he's just always been, at least this season, he's been kind of just consistent with like 2 3 point games, which is fine. 3 points, 4 points, that's what you want, on your daily.
Yeah. If he does that every day, that's almost 30 points.
Yeah.
30 points in a week from a hitter is not too bad, but
no, that's great.
The thing with Torkelson, though, is he's the type of guy that can get you 30 points in one day. So that.
Yeah.
All right. So out of those four, Joey Meneses, Jake Cronenworth, Josh Bell, and then Ty France / Spencer Torkelson. So in a points league, who are you choosing first?
I think I go with France.
Really?
Yeah. I'm more of a consistent guy. And
safe option.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. And in categories league, you choosing France again?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it would be the opposite then. It would be Torkelson for points and France for categories.
Oh, okay. So you're actually the opposite of me, because I have Torkelson in categories and Ty France in points.
Nah, I feel like those home runs in points leagues they really valuable too, like if you get 2-3 home runs, you're pretty much set. And I think he's been hitting like 2-3 home runs for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, the home runs have been really good. The only thing is it comes with a 240 batting average in the last 30 days.
But that doesn't matter in points. That 240 doesn't matter in points. I don't know. It's like if he's batting 240 and getting me one home run every other day or every, to me that's more valuable because of a
solo home run with 3 strikeouts is probably going to get you like 6 points, like 5 or 6 points.
I'll take that.
5 or 6 points in a day is not too bad. Not too bad at all. I like seeing any positive numbers from hitters in a points league. Once I see the negatives, that's where I'm like, dang, like I start considering dropping guys when I see consistent -1, -2 on a daily basis. So out of those 4, I actually like Josh Bell the best. I feel like he's really kind of like coming back into his own. Do you remember when he was on Pittsburgh and he just had that breakout season? I feel like this season it's kind of reminding me of that, and I think that he could be breaking out again. Hopefully, there was a lot of pressure on him, and moving around to different teams. He played on so many different teams just in the last 3 years. So hopefully he can find a home in Miami and just stay there. Maybe stay there for the rest of his career. Yeah, he is a good first baseman.
Yeah, so
and good power too.
Yeah, he's got decent pop. He normally gets about 20 home runs a season, so that's not bad. I just don't. To me, like Josh Bell probably left like a bad taste in my mouth a couple of seasons, because like I'll pick him up or I trade for him. I think I traded for him one season and like he was hot, and then like the rest of the second half was just average. Average, and
yeah, that happens. There's a lot of players that
I need more,
Yeah.
fantasy towards the playoffs. If you're if you have a player that's just average, maybe cutting them for a hot hand is the play, because in playoffs it's do or die. And to me, Josh Bell, he is good and he has been showing a lot of consistency. Um, but I,
lately.
yeah, lately. So, like I said, I would rather go with Ty France and who
You
else?
know what kind of turned me on about not like turned me on like that, but like turned me on to just to Josh Bell. Looking at his total numbers, 220 in 2023, he has a 244 batting average with 16 home runs, but 7 of those home runs have come in the last 30 days. That is just incredible to me, dude. He is on such a crazy power streak right now, and rest of
Yeah,
season, since there's only 4 or 5 weeks left, I feel like you really have to go with the hot hand. And Josh Bell is it for me right now. He's only 55% rostered, so he's available in most leagues. Anything that's like 12 teams or shallower. All
yeah.
right, moving on to second base, we have Ozzie Albies out with a strained hamstring. So I have 4 replacements here that we can talk about a little bit. Zach Geloff from Oakland, 49% rostered, has second base eligibility. In 2023, he's batting 294 with 8 home runs and 7 stolen bases, has a 381 on base percentage. And this is all since his call up on July 14th. So he hasn't even been up that long, and he already has 8 home runs and 7 stolen bases. Batted 292 in the minors since 2021. Has modest power, even though he's been on a crazy power stroke lately. He doesn't really have the track record for that, but he does have a lot of speed. 92 mile per hour average exit velocity this season, and 107.6 max exit velocity, 18.3 launch angle, and a 27.7% K rate. Next, we have Ezekiel Duran, 55% rostered. Second base, third base, shortstop, and outfield eligible. 282 batting average with 14 home runs. Last 2 weeks, he's batting 275 with 1 home run and 1 stolen base. 90.5 miles per hour average exit velocity, 115 max exit velocity, 27.1 K percentage, 266 expected batting average, and 15.3 degrees launch angle. And then next we have Trevor Story, 62% rostered, second base and shortstop eligibility. 269 batting average with no home runs, 3 stolen bases. And finally, we have Ahmed Rosario, 64% rostered, second base, shortstop, and outfield eligible. This season, he's batting 264 with 6 home runs and 10 stolen bases. The last 30 days, a 269 batting average with 3 home runs and 1 stolen base. So out of those 4, which one do you like the best? We got Zach Geloff, Ezekiel Duran, Trevor Story, and Ahmed Rosario.
I would probably go with the hot hand right now. And just because I feel like Albies, if you are doing the replacement for Albies, I feel like Albies is going to be back pretty soon. He won't be out too long. So I would go with the hot hand and Zach Geloff with the A's.
Yeah,
And
Zach Geloff is looking really good. Minor league track record is there. Like I said, he doesn't really have the power in the minors. He hasn't really shown that kind of track record, but 8 home runs since July 14th. That's a little bit over a month. And that's pretty damn good for a second baseman.
yeah, that's really good. Those are like almost Jose Altuve numbers. And Oakland just seems to have those type of guys, man. They're just like standout rookies who just hit home runs, dude. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is. I mean, Matt Olson, Chapman, who else? I mean,
Laureano.
yeah, they just hit. I mean, Olson is probably the top tier guy,
Oh, yeah,
So
definitely.
it kind of lets you know that, the A's rookies or the farm system does have like guys that can produce. And Geloff is definitely showing up right now. So if we're definitely looking to replace Albies, Geloff is definitely producing the type of numbers Albies would. So that would be my number 1. After him, it's kind of hard because I like Trevor's Story, but he's also doesn't really. Last year when he did come back, I think he wasn't great, and
No.
he's been hurt, and I picked him up to cover for Albies, but he hasn't really been producing. I think you picked up uh, uh, Geloff, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you picked him up, and then I had to settle for Story. So that he would be my number two, but he's really hasn't been producing right now. Hopefully, he does find his swing and is able to produce. Um, and then I don't know, man. Both Duran and Rosario sit against like either lefties or righties. They
Yeah.
don't play all the time. You know. Um,
That is the biggest issue, that, especially with the Med
you know.
Rosario that I see. Like the Dodgers have so many bats, and like you just texted me earlier today that the Dodgers just signed Colton Wong, who also
Yeah.
plays second base. So
Exactly.
it's like you got Kike Hernandez, Colton Wong, and Ahmed Rosario, basically all playing the same positions. It's like where are you going to find at bats for all these guys? Now Colton
If
Wong is only on a minor league deal, so he might not get the call up. But if he does, there's a logjam. Between
Yeah,
three players like that, that's tough.
definitely. And if Rosario was like the main shortstop, he will probably be my number one. Well, probably it'll probably be a toss up between Geloff and Rosario. But Rosario, I don't know what Roberts is doing. You know, I thought when they got Ahmed Rosario, they were gonna make him the primary shortstop. I mean,
Yeah.
for years now, I would say 2 seasons, we've been without like a legit shortstop. Ever since we got rid of Seager. Not that we got rid of him, but
He was always hurt.
because he was great.
It's like
Yeah,
the last year that he was with the Dodgers, like that was his like second breakout season. I think his rookie year and then the last year with the Dodgers, that's when he like really broke out and was like one of the best players, one of the best shortstops in the game. But in the 4 years in between those two, it's like he was barely ever there. Had Tommy John surgery, missed all of 2021. 2020 shortened season. I think he actually had a really good year, but he it was 60 games. How much
yeah,
can you really like see from 60 games? It's basically like a fourth of the season. And
yeah,
the 2 years before that, he was just in and out of the IL or the DL back then. But
yeah,
the
yeah.
thing that I see with Ahmed Rosario is Dave Roberts is kind of holding him back a little bit in
I
what
feel
he
so.
excels at, and that's stolen bases. He had 9 stolen bases before getting traded to the Dodgers, and ever since he got traded to the Dodgers, he only had 1 stolen base. So the Dodgers don't really like to run. They run in certain opportunities, but they're not the type of team like the Royals that just send their players, all the time. So the Dodgers are definitely like low on stolen base totals compared to other teams.
Yeah,
So that definitely diminishes his value a little bit.
yeah.
Um,
Well, they don't need to steal. I
exactly,
mean, they,
because
they
there's
normally
so
get
many
on
guys
base.
in the lineup that
Yeah,
either take a walk. The Dodgers have one of the best on base percentages in baseball, or base hits. That's what the Dodgers are kind of like famous for. Like even Austin was no Mookie Betts said this team is so incredible. It's not one or two guys out there that are winning the games. It's the wins could come from anywhere in the lineup, and that's true, man. There's
yeah.
other
Happens
teams
all the
that are
time.
like the Braves, the
They're the same
Astros.
way. Yeah,
Yeah, all three of those teams right there. I feel like those are like the three best lineups in baseball, in addition to the Rangers too. You can't count out the Rangers that have the most runs scored in all of baseball this season. But dude, those two American League teams and those two National League teams are definitely forces to be reckoned with. All right. So you said that you like Zach Geloff as your Ozzie Albies replacement. I tend to agree. I think he's going to be my favorite also. And moving on to shortstop. So we have
Oh, real quick.
yo.
Um, if none of those names that we provided were to your liking, I guess, or to any of the viewers' likings, Wilmer Flores, he's also been doing pretty good, and he's eligible at first, second, and third, and he's only rostered around 50%, 52%, I think, on Yahoo. So there's another name, just throwing it out there. He's been okay. Past 30 days, looks like he He's had 5 home runs, 11 RBIs, and 25 hits. So that's not too bad. So just another name to put out there, Wilmer Flores.
Yeah, I like Wilmer Flores. Wilmer Flores has shown signs of being a very high value fantasy option. The inconsistency is a little bit there sometimes, but for the most part, he's a decent option, especially when you're only covering for an injured player that could return hopefully soon. It is a strained hamstring for Ozzie Albies, and depending on the severity of the hamstring, it could be the minimum 10 days, or it could be a month. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully he comes back soon.
And the only reason I bring him up is because with Duran and with Rosario, those guys don't play every day. But Wilmer Flores does have an everyday role with San Francisco. So that's why I bring him up too.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right, moving on to shortstop. We have Wander Franco has been suspended. Do you want to talk about Wander Franco a little bit? I know you got some opinions.
Well, it's not like an opinion, it should be everybody's like basic moral code, it looks like he's been accused of being with an underage girl, I guess, and he's under investigation. To me, I mean, I was just being sarcastic, not sarcastic, but just trying to be funny in our texts and chats, because of what happened with my boy, one of my favorite players that was coming up, which was Trevor Bauer. And Trevor Bauer didn't get the benefit of the doubt. He didn't get anything. He just got the cold shoulder and was blacklisted all the way from the beginning.
Yeah,
pretty much they kept holding him off, and I feel like more than likely Wander Franco is going to get the same treatment. I don't think this is something that can be overlooked. It shouldn't be overlooked by anybody.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, dude. I mean,
yeah.
My son is 17, and at 14 years old, he had a girlfriend, and she came over the house once in a while. And
but even that's wrong.
She's a little girl, dude. She's a little girl.
Let's say that though. If your son at 17 is dating a 14-year-old, that's
this was like years ago.
But I'm just trying to bring up that point. It's just like even that's a little like, hey, bro, she's a little young.
Yeah.
Like get yourself someone around your age. But that's what I'm saying.
It's so crazy to me, dude. That's 8th grade. That's not even high school yet.
Just to give them. We don't know the situation also, and we do know that people from the Dominican Republic do lie about their age. There's, I think I heard you or somebody from the podcast last time talking about that. They lie about their birth certificate. And they're like 30-year-olds, but they're saying they're 20.
Yeah.
So we don't know what to the extent what that is. So I mean, it's hard to kind of like place judgment, but like just the court of public opinion right away is just like wrong. You shouldn't have done that, and rightfully so. So to me right now, fantasy wise, he's a straight drop, dude. He's a straight drop because I don't see him playing this year at all.
No.
And then
not with this investigation going on. This investigation is going to take months. It's not like he's not playing this year. And I do have him in our fantasy league, which is an auction draft, and I only paid $8 for him. I was so excited to get one.
You can probably get him cheaper next year too, because he probably won't even play.
Yeah, honestly, he's probably going to go undrafted. No one's going to draft him next year. And if you do draft,
probably get him for $1.
If you draft him, it's probably because you don't even know about this investigation that's going on. All right, so replacements. There are 3 that we already mentioned that have shortstop eligibility: Ezekiel Duran, Ahmed Rosario, and Jake Cronenworth. And then the last one I want to talk about is Anthony Volpe. 49% rostered, shortstop eligibility. In 2023, he's batting .213 with 16 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Last week, he's batting .250 with 2 home runs, 27.3% K rate, 233 expected batting average, 88.9 miles per hour average exit velocity, 14 degrees launch angle. In my opinion, out of all these four, I think in a categories league, I think he's highly valuable because he hits home runs and he gets stolen bases. He is a batting average liability, but that's only one category out of 5 or 6, depending on what your league settings are. But I think out of all of these in a categories league, I like Anthony Volpe the best.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to find a replacement for a shortstop this late in the season.
Yes, it
And
definitely is. There were so many shortstops available in the draft. They were
and
very
even
high end.
and not too long ago either. I remember seeing like shortstop was like something we weren't even like worried about. Like you said in the draft, we weren't even like shortstop. You
Yeah.
can get whatever round and you'll be all right.
But now it's like all the good ones, they're in someone else's utility spot.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they're being held against their will or whatever.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, these are the ones that are available now. You can also throw Trevor Story in the mix, because he gained shortstop eligibility because he's been playing shortstop every day for Boston. So you actually have 5 options there. So Ezekiel Duran, Ahmed Rosario, Jake Cronenworth, Anthony Volpe, and Trevor Story.
Yeah, I doubt Cronenworth is available in many many leagues. I mean, he shouldn't be.
Cronenworth
But
is 67% rostered, so he's under that 70%. So
okay. So yeah, he's probably out there for
in deeper 12-team leagues, he's probably not going to be available. But just in a standard 12-team or 10-team, he might be.
He might be. Yeah.
He has a lot of eligibility. That's the thing.
Yeah, and he's
first
been
base, second base, and shortstop.
He's been okay. He hasn't really come through with the type of numbers he had last year. He's just been like steady.
A steady decline. I don't like I don't like Jake Cronenworth. I remember the hype about him when like Tatis first came up and the Crone Zone. Every time he would hit a home run, you hear the announcer. But ever since that year, he just hasn't really been the best. Like he's barely rosterable, honestly, in my opinion. I personally don't want any part of him, but beggars can't be choosers, like you said, with the limited amount of shortstops available out there.
There's definitely slim options out there. But if he's out there, I mean, he has been turning it up lately. For the past 30 days, he's had let's see here, 30 hits with 9 doubles, 2 triples, and 13. Well, I'm sorry, 3 triples and two home runs. So he has 13 RBIs. That's not too bad, from what it looks like. He's been steady.
Yeah, and I believe he bats in the middle of the Padres lineup. So decent source of runs and RBIs as well.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to third base. You ready to talk about third?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All right. So we have Josh Jung, 10-day IL, fractured left thumb. So it looks like Josh Jung is going to be out for a while because he just had surgery on his thumb. So it looks like he's not going to be able to swing a bat for at least a few weeks. And, by that time, fantasy playoffs are already going to start. I doubt he'll be back before our fantasy playoffs are over. So you're definitely looking for a replacement right now. A couple of guys we already talked about, Ezekiel Duran and Ty France. They both have third base eligibility. In addition to, all the other positions that are available. We also have to talk about Ke'Bryan Hayes, 52% rostered, 2023. He's batting .261 with 8 home runs and 9 stolen bases. The last 30 games, he's batting .324 with 3 home runs, 92.7 average exit velocity, 113 max exit velocity. What the hell got into Ke'Bryan Hayes this season? He is hitting the ball so freaking hard, man. A .275 expected batting average, so he's actually underperforming just a little bit. It's possible that he could actually, turn it on at any moment. It looks like he's just been getting a little bit unlucky lately. He's in a very weak lineup in the Pirates lineup, but he does hit in the first half of the order. So 19.6% K rate. Anything under 20% is great. 13.3 degree launch angle. Former first round pick. He batted 278 in the minors before getting the call up to the majors. A 353 on base percentage in the minors. Lately he's just been kind of like, ever since his call up, he's been kind of like a boring player. He's kind of safe. He's like the type of guy that you just kind of like keep in your corner infield spot, and you just kind of leave him there, and you never really have to worry about him.
Yeah, he's not really exciting.
Lately, he has been kind of exciting though. Last 30 games, batting 314 with 3 home runs. Decent source of stolen bases also, and
well, he just got off the IL list, right? Probably like about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and ever since then, he's been great.
He's definitely been showing the type of potential that the experts thought he would be producing when he first got the call up. But he is kind of a little bit injury prone. So, I mean, it looks like he is coming into his own right now, and is like you said, I think you said there was like 3 home runs. That's
3
not
home
too
runs
bad.
in the last 30 games. Well, ever since he got back from the IL.
Yeah, I think it's like 14 or something like that. Because I think he just got back like not too long ago, like 2 weeks ago. Anyways, he's been doing good though, from what I saw in his his like recent stats or whatever. He's been having a lot of multi hit games. Like let's see, from starting from August 8th. He went 2 for 3, August 9th, 3 for 5, August 10th, 2 for 5, and then he had a couple of like 1-hit games. But then again, August 14th, 2 for 5, 2 for 4 on the 15th, 2 for 5 on the 16th. He's been producing lately, and I mean, if you need production right now, and third base is another position that's kind of like scarce, even from probably the beginning of the season. We've never really had. I mean, aside from the elites, like Arenado, Riley, what's the guy from Boston?
Justin Turner.
The other elite player.
Rafael Devers.
Yeah, aside from those guys who have been consistent and reliable, maybe Bryant Hayes can become that, because a lot of, like I said, experts previous seasons and years have been saying that this is the guy to look at. The Pirates are going to be the team to have like these upcoming stars, which we're going to be like O'Neal Cruz. Yeah, see, and O'Neal Cruz at shortstop, who also is a little bit injury prone. Brian Hayes just got off the IL. And I mean, hopefully it does happen for the city of Pittsburgh, and these guys put it together. And Bryant Hayes has definitely been doing his part the past 2 weeks.
All right, one more player that I want to mention for third base is Royce Lewis. 35% rostered, has third base and shortstop eligibility. In 2023, he has a 343 batting average. And I don't know if you remember, in the beginning of the season, he tripped over first base and he kind of scorpioned. And ever since then, he's been on the IL for months now. Only has 4 home runs and 2 stolen bases on the season, but that's because he's been out for so long. But since returning, he has a 571 batting average with 1 run scored, 2 RBI, and 1 stolen base. And that's only like 4 or 5 games since he returned. 26.9% K rate, 88.9 miles per hour average exit velocity. Had a 353 batting average in the minors before getting called up. Like during his like rehab starts, had 6 home runs and 5 stolen bases. So I think we covered Ezekiel Duran and Ty France enough. Between Brian Hayes and Royce Lewis, which one are you choosing rest of season?
They're both injury prone to me, man.
Yeah,
it's both pretty much like whatever you can do, no wrong at this point, because you have like your options are pretty limited. I don't know. Brian Hayes, just because he's had more playing time. He's been around for 2 weeks.
The problem is they're both
and
weak
he was
lineups.
a former number 1 pick.
Yeah.
So maybe that would probably lead me towards that. You know who else is available at third base? I was just looking at our fantasy waivers, and I just saw Mike Moustakas.
Mm,
He plays with the Angels. He's eligible
Angels.
at first, at third. He's been batting cleanup for a couple of weeks now,
Yeah, and
and
we've seen him be elite before too. You know, he was on the
yeah,
World Series Kansas City Royals team back in like 2015, I believe. He was a
yeah,
legit power hitter back then. Kind of bounced around from different teams since then. Hasn't really been fantasy relevant too many seasons, but he has been on a pretty decent hot streak lately. And like you said, in the middle of the Angels lineup. And if Mike Trout ever does come back, you know, that's definitely opportunities for more runs and more RBIs right there. But he does bat in the same lineup as Shohei Ohtani, you know, and that's
mhm.
definitely a lot of RBIs or runs scored depending on where he hits, either
Yeah.
before or after Ohtani.
He bats. He's been batting cleanup lately.
And
So
I think Ohtani bats like second or third, right?
yeah, so he's normally has base on run, uh, runners on base. And looking here at his 30-day stat sheet, he's got 27 hits, 7 doubles, not bad, and 3 home runs with 16 RBIs. That's not too shabby.
Not bad.
Especially,
So there you
uh,
have 5 options: Cabrian Hayes, Ezekiel Duran, Ty France, Hoyce Lewis, and Mike Moustakas. Moving
yeah.
on to outfield, we have.
These are so hard, dude.
I know, man.
There's
It
like
really is.
literally nothing out there to replace,
Yeah,
like
especially
Albies,
even in our league, that's only a
Franco,
10-team
Jung.
league. If there's not any players available in a 10-team league, it's got to be really
To be,
hard for
it's
the
gotta be
12.
worse for like.
Next year, our league is going to 12 teams, so it's going to be a
Okay.
little bit tougher. All right, so Starling Marte out with a groin injury and Josh Naylor out with a strained oblique. No timetable for either one of those players. So replacements, outfield replacements. We have Lourdes Gurriel Jr., 66% rostered. He is currently day-to-day with a hip issue, but he is hoping to avoid an IL stint. 2023 numbers, he's batting 258 with 19 home runs and 4 stolen bases. The last 2 weeks, he's batting 310 with 3 home runs and 2 stolen bases. A 16.8% Kate rate, 89.5 miles per hour average exit velocity, and a 10-degree launch angle. Next, we have Kerry Carpenter from Detroit, 53% rostered, outfield eligible. 2023, he's batting 286 with 16 home runs and 868 OPS. Last 2 weeks, he's batting 455 with 5
What?
home runs.
Did you say 16 home runs in the past 30 days?
16, no. 16 home runs on the season. 5
Oh,
home
okay.
runs in the last 2 weeks.
Oh, I was about to say, like, what the heck?
Hey, he's
Okay.
not Aaron Judge, man.
I was
Uh,
about to, I was like, why
let's
didn't I
see.
pick this guy up sooner?
He's batted 300 in all 4 minor league seasons. 30 home runs in 2022. So there's definitely some power production there. Then we have Riley Green, 68% rostered, outfield eligible. 2023 numbers, 309 batting average with 11 home runs and 6 stolen bases. And then we have Chas McCormick, 68% rostered, 2023 numbers, 288 batting average with 378 on base percentage and 917 OPS. So there you have 4 outfield options. We have Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, and Chas McCormick. Number 1 on your radar, Tony.
Chas McCormick.
Chas McCormick, that's your number 1?
Yeah, I would say the past 2 months he's been
Oh, yeah.
like consistent,
Dude, 308 batting average in June, a 351 batting average in July, and a 302 batting average in August.
Yeah, you can't beat that, bro. You can't.
Decent power.
And he's where's he batting in that lineup? Probably like a little bit behind, like.
I think he's actually been batting like 7 or 8.
but
in
like we
that
were talking
lineup, it
about
doesn't
earlier,
matter.
like we were talking about earlier, when you play for like teams like the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Astros, it doesn't really matter what where in the lineup you're at.
Yeah.
You're gonna have opportunities, and Chas McCormick has really been doing more than enough, to me at least, from what I've seen. I've had him in our 15 team league or 16 team league in the podcast. I've had him on there for a while. I finally
I'm,
picked him
I'm
up.
I'm really surprised he's only 68% rostered. This
Yeah,
is definitely my favorite of this list. And if he was available, I'm looking to pick up Chas McCormick wherever he's available, even if it's a 10-team league, 8-team league, whatever. This guy has been so consistent all season. The only thing that I see is he's only outfield eligible, but that's okay. You
yeah,
have at least 3 outfield spots. Some leagues even have 5, and you have 2 utility spots. So Chas McCormick's definitely my favorite out of these 4.
yeah. I like him the most as well. Um, like I said, playing for the Astros, you're always going to have opportunities, whether you're batting in the middle or towards the bottom of that lineup. As long as you get on base and with that 300 average or near 300 average, he's always going to have opportunities to either, score a run or get RBIs.
Yeah, and
So
with the last 3 months, like you mentioned, he's just been on a tear since June. So it doesn't look like there's any signs of stopping. So I like McCormick. I like him a lot, actually. For the rest of this season. Next season, I don't know. That's still to be determined because he doesn't really have like the best track record, minors wise, and
yeah,
doesn't
he's
really
kind of
have
come
like a
out
lot
of the
of
blue.
yeah, weird.
Hey, but
So
if you got him, or if he's out there, you should go for him. I just recently picked him up in my 10-team league. Um, with Will. We're playing in our league right now. He was available, so I dropped him for Brandon Lowe, who has been sitting with against lefties lately. So
yeah, I drafted Brandon Lowe in our
yeah,
league, but
yeah, and I really like that pick. In the beginning of the season, thinking that he
yeah.
was going to be okay, but he
Well,
kept
coming back from injury, everyone thought that he
and he
was
went
going to
back
be
on the
like that.
IL, right? Like
Yeah, everyone
he
thought he was going to be like that, like legit power hitter still.
he's
In
got
a
ups
good
and
lineup.
downs. Yeah, everybody was hoping for like I think it was 2021 when he had like 36 home runs or something like that.
Hmm.
I forget what season it was, but he had a bunch of home runs, and it was just
Yeah,
like that's what
that
that's who
that's
he
the
is
type of
now,
upside.
and
That's the
it's
type
not.
of upside that you can get from Brandon Lowe.
Yes, but
Um,
I ended up dropping him because, like I said, towards the end of the season and towards playoffs, if a guy's not playing every day, they're pretty much droppable.
yeah,
Because you want somebody who's going to be able to produce every day. And if a guy's sitting against lefties, like there could be times where out of the week they face 4 lefties,
yeah,
and on a team like Tampa Bay, who is so analytic um, driven, they're always going to go for the guys that are like, you know, um,
they play
they're
the
good.
matchups a lot.
Exactly, and not everybody has a everyday role, on the Tampa Bay Rays, and doesn't really matter who you are. The only guys that really do are like Yandy Diaz. Franco used to be one of them before his slip
Yeah,
up. But there's not really a lot of everyday players on Tampa Bay. Um,
but
so
that is one of the reasons why they win a lot of games though, because of their analytic driven kind of strategic style. All right, so that was outfield recommendations. So I
you know who
we're
else, man? Just real quick.
go ahead.
Um, lately I've been. I like these guys. I want to say TJ Friedel
Hmm. The
from
Reds.
the Reds, because he bats leadoff, man, and he's not highly rostered, and a couple of like in the beginning of the season he was just red hot, dude, and then he fell off for a little bit. I think they were like trying to mix in a lot of other players, as a lot of people know. The Rays, or not the Rays, but the Reds have been doing a lot of call-ups this season, and it's been working for them. A lot of their young players are producing. McLean, you know, um, De La Cruz, the list goes on. Um,
Strand.
yeah, yeah. Well, Strand hasn't really been producing, but there's another guy,
No,
Stout.
Strand's been decent the last like couple weeks. He increased his power. He's getting that power stroke back.
Yeah, yeah. And then they got the veteran presence like Votto, So
Hmm.
that team's kind of young right now, and they've been doing a lot of call-ups. So for a short period, TJ Friedel was kind of getting the short end of the stick. He was getting sit down and everything. In the beginning of the season, he was batting first and second, and it looks like the Reds are going back with him at first, and he's been batting first for, I want to say, like first or second, like for maybe 2 weeks now, and it's starting to show again in the plate, at the plate. And he's got 4 home runs in the past 30 days. He's got 14 RBIs. He's got 24 hits. The strikeout are really low. He's only got 11 Ks out of 93 at bats. That's like probably what, like 10%, 12%. So TJ Friedel, I'm looking at him. If like McCormick, not McCormick, yeah, right, Chas McCormick.
Yeah, Chas McCormick.
Yeah, if he's not out there, he'll probably be my number 2. Just FYI, I guess.
I really like Riley Green also. 309 batting average on the season, and his expected batting average is 299. So it's right.
That's another team that's been calling up some of their younger guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I like them both. But yeah, I just feel like McCormick, Green, those are guys that have been on people's radars for a while. And,
all right, so that was outfield replacements. So another outfielder that I want to talk about, I wanted to talk about Bobby Miller, before the show's over, but I think we're running a little bit short on time. So I definitely want to talk about this next player and get into our 2-star pitchers real quick. But
let's do a speed round.
We do have a couple comments from It's Matt Dude. Should I, he meant drop. So should I drop Nasty Nestor? At this point, he's on the IL. And I don't think that he's really going to be too valuable for fantasy leagues going forward this season. I think he's more, look forward for 2024. But this season, I think he's okay to drop. What do you think, Tony?
I believe he's out for a while, right? Like he's going to be out until. Let me see here.
Didn't he have like a bone break or a fracture or something like that?
I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember it was something with his shoulder. Let me check it out real quick. But I from what I recall, he was going to be shut down for a month, and then they were going to try to ramp him up again. And then
so it looks like he's shut down till mid-September. So yes, go ahead and drop him. There's no way that he's going to be able to be fantasy relevant when he's going to be shut down completely. He's not going to throw anything until mid-September. And by that time, either playoffs have already started, and he's not going to be able to come back to a major league roster until after playoffs are already over. So yes, go ahead and drop Nasty Nestor. I miss Nestor Cortez from last year, man. The crazy windup that he does where he takes so much time, like that was awesome. I wish that we could see a little bit more of that. But, it's possible that the rules are changing next year. They're possibly talking about making it 20 and 25 seconds instead of 15 and 20 seconds for the pitch clock. So,
the injuries aren't helping,
Yeah, exactly. And Tyler Glasnow has been very vocal about that. Tyler Glasnow has said that the reason why he got hurt this season is because of the pitch clock, which I don't really put too much stock in that because Tyler Glasnow's kind of always hurt. I call him Tyler Glass Joe, like from Punch Out. He's he's always just kind of like.
Last season too, he was talking about like, oh, I got hurt because the MLB changed the rules on the sticky stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean,
like, come on, man.
He gets hurt. He's a great pitcher though. Like, I mean, but at the same time,
he reminds me so much of Steven Strasburg, one of the greatest pitchers that is part of the 2023 season. But he's made of glass. He just keeps on getting hurt, and I really hope what happened to Strasburg doesn't happen to Glasnow. Strasburg is unfortunately, he's retired. He's not going to pitch in Major League Baseball anymore. He said that the injuries have just piled up a little bit too much. But I see the same trend from Tyler Glasnow, which really sucks. All right, so moving on. I definitely want to talk about one more outfielder that could possibly be getting the call up from the Cubs soon. So he was in the Mets organization. He got traded to the Cubs. in the Javier Baez trade a couple seasons ago, last season I think it was, and that's Pete Crow-Armstrong, a rookie in the Cubs system, 21 years old. In 12 games in AAA this season, he has 306 batting average, a 424 on base percentage, a 1,036 OPS with 4 home runs and 4 stolen bases. This dude is breaking down the doors to make his major league debut. A career 306 batting average with 384 on base percentage and a 912 OPS. In 192 games in the minors, he has 34 home runs and 65 stolen bases. He was a first-round draft pick, 19th overall. Like I said, traded to the Cubs in 2021 as part of the Javier Baez and Trevor Williams trade. Power, speed, 24% K rate, really good plate discipline. Honestly, I think that this is one that if you have a roster spot available, definitely stash Pete Crow-Armstrong. He is a potential game changer, in my opinion. Now, you do have to be wary of like the rookie call-ups, because a lot of times they call up, they get called up and they are nothing. They're nothing special at all. But we could see potentially what happened to Ellie De La Cruz, where he comes up and for the first month of his call-up, he's just tearing the cover off the ball. What do you think, Tony? I think you're muted.
I was just gonna say, to be honest, I wish I knew more about him. When I saw your notes today, I was just like, oh, let me look him up. And I mean, I saw a couple of highlights, but how much can you really learn in a day?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't. I'm gonna have to take your word for this, Will. You had snagged De La Cruz up this season, and he's been.
And then I traded him for Zach Gallen.
Yeah, one of the best trades I've seen in a while.
That's a page out of your book, man. Working those Tony trades.
I pulled off a couple of good trades this season, I'll tell you that. Especially
every season, dude. You're a talker. You know how to like coerce people into like going for trades. Hey, you've done it to me a couple of times. Don't bullshit, man. I know you've done it.
LA De La Cruz. One of the best call-ups ever. Yeah, when I saw that go through, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe he pulled it off. Yeah, I was really excited for you. And
hey, I almost got Kershaw too.
Oh yeah, that would have been
really trying for Kershaw.
That would have been fine too. But Gallen is way better, especially in the keepers league.
This season, yeah. Kershaw was for a different player. I don't remember who. I was actually trying to trade Justin Steele for Kershaw.
Oh, that's not bad either, though. That almost should have happened for Hobby. That way he can have someone long term, because Justin Steele's looking pretty solid.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Gallen right now is currently he's in the Cy Young talks, right?
Yeah, he's the top 5 starting pitcher this season.
Yeah, man.
All right, so Pete Crow-Armstrong, are we stashing?
I'm gonna go with whatever you say, Will. I don't know much about him.
So if you have a roster spot to play with, I would say yes. If you have an NA spot, definitely pick him up. Honestly, there's no other prospect out there that is kind of like on the verge of coming up. Other than Pete Crow-Armstrong. I mean, there's a couple out there, but I feel like this is the guy that could actually like impact your team rest of season. So if you have a roster spot, I would definitely like to recommend him for pickup. All right, so moving on to the 2-star pitchers. Definitely need to go through this really quick because we're already at 1 hour and 13 minutes. All right, so
we got it.
So we have Zach Littell versus Colorado and versus the Yankees. In and out of the bullpen all season. Tampa has just used him as a starter with the loss of McClanahan and a struggling Taj Bradley. Since making the move to the rotation on July 30th, he's had 4 starts at Houston, at Detroit, versus St. Louis, and at San Francisco. 2 quality starts out of the 4. In the 2 that he didn't have quality starts, it was only because he went 5 innings and 5.2 innings, but only allowed 2 runs in each. And then we have Graham Ashcraft at the Angels and at Arizona. Since the All-Star break, he has a 2.38 ERA and 7 starts. The last 4 starts were 4 quality starts in a row. That was at the Dodgers versus Washington versus Miami and versus Cleveland. And then we have Paul Blackburn versus KC and at the White Sox. In 3 starts in August, he has a 1.93 ERA versus San Francisco, at Washington, and at St. Louis, where his last 3 starts only allowed 4 runs total in the last 3. We have Mike Clevenger versus Seattle and versus Oakland. Has a 3.26 ERA this season, a 1.57 ERA after the All-Star break. Back-to-back quality starts in his last 2 games. It was at Chicago, 7 innings, 3 hits allowed, no earned runs. And versus the Yankees, 6.1 innings, 1 earned run on 3 hits. And the last one, I believe you picked up this guy, Javier Assad, has at Detroit and at Pittsburgh. In 2 starts since joining the Cubs rotation, has back-to-back quality starts at Toronto, 7.1 innings, 1 earned run on 4 hits. And versus the White Sox, 6 innings, 2 earned runs on 4 hits. So that was Zach Littell, Graham Ashcraft, Paul Blackburn, Mike Clevenger, and Javier Assad. So out of those 5, any of them jump out to you?
Yeah, Ashcraft has been doing awesome. Ashcraft has been really good lately. If I'm like lining them up, I would go Ashcraft. Can you name them again? Sorry.
Zach Littell, Paul Blackburn, Mike Clevenger, and Javier Assad.
Yeah, I would go Ashcraft, Clevenger, Assad, and then Littell.
Littell, and then Blackburn.
I like Blackburn too. Blackburn has been doing really good, but I mean, with Oakland, you know, that defense doesn't really. They have a good offense every now and then because of the young guys. For some reason, they always have pop. So the offense is okay, but defensive wise, sometimes they do have like hiccups. So they do
Yeah.
give up
Did
a
you
lot
see
of
the
runs.
pitcher? I don't remember what the pitcher's name was. There was a ground ball. It came back to the pitcher, and the pitcher starts jogging over to first base. And,
I saw that. Yeah.
And the base runner, I don't remember who it was. He was just
turned it
jamming
on, huh?
down, just turned it on, and he ended up beating the pitcher. Like, well, what are you doing? Like, why don't you throw it over to first base? First baseman's just standing there, like, with his glove open, like, here, just throw it to me. Let's get the guy out. And then he's all jogging over, going half a mile an hour, where you have the base runner trying to, run 100 miles an hour, and ends up beating the pitcher back to the bat. Crazy shit, man. That is a brain fart, for the lack of a better word, right there. All right, so that was the 2-star pitchers. I think out of those 5, if I'm going to give my recommendation, I think I'm going to go Javier Assad as my number 1. Even though he is, doesn't really have the best track record. I think at Detroit and at Pittsburgh, I think those are the best, the 2 best matchups out of all these 5. Versus Kansas City and at Chicago White Sox for Paul Blackburn is decent also. So I think that would be my second. And then Mike Clevenger versus Seattle and versus Oakland. And then I like Graham Ashcraft at the Angels and at Arizona. I just feel like even though Arizona and the Angels haven't really been doing too great this season, I feel like, or at least lately, I still feel like those are the 2 lineups that can really turn it on at any moment. And then last, I'm going to go with Zach Littell versus Colorado and versus the Yankees. Pitches for the Rays. So is he going to go 6 innings? That's really the question that you have to ask yourself with any Rays pitcher other than Shane McClanahan, who is currently out with Tommy John surgery. So other than that, Kevin Cashman doesn't really like to let the starting pitchers go the 3rd time around in the batting order. So Zach Littell would definitely be my least favorite of these, but I think they're all viable options for
and they've been pitching well. To be honest, what's his name?
Ashcraft? Graham Ashcraft?
He's been pitching well.
He started off super hot. Graham Ashcraft was amazing in the beginning.
And then he fell off hard.
Yeah, he fell off hard. but he's
Yeah.
been coming
He
back
was injured
lately.
though, right? They it was found out to be that like some type of injury that's kind of been hindering him. And then he went to the IL, did his little rehab, came back, and he's been solid ever since. So, like Will was saying earlier, it really depends on the matchup. But when pitchers are doing well, me personally, I don't care about the damn matchups. They could be playing the Dodgers, they can be playing the Astros. If they're pitching well, I'm gonna throw them out there. I'm gonna throw them
Yeah.
out there. They're probably gonna get
Honestly,
12, 15 points, and
that's what I've been doing with Justin Steele. Even against tough matchups, I throw him out there every single
yep,
week, and every week he's been pretty consistent. I mean, there's been a couple clunkers,
mhm,
since the beginning of the season, but every starting pitcher is going to be like that. Garrett
yeah,
Cole has clunkers. Kershaw has clunkers. It happens sometimes. These guys are
yeah,
human, but
yeah,
consistency, man. These guys have been very consistent, and
exactly. And that's what I was trying to kind of agree with you. A lot of these guys are viable. Ashcraft, Clevenger. Who else did you bring up?
Javier
Assad.
Assad,
Yeah,
Blackburn.
they Blackburn. These guys have been pitching well for the past 30 days. And I don't really care about the matchup. As what I care about is what they've been doing. You know, and
I really like Mike Clevenger, dude. I know a
yeah,
lot of
they've
people
been
are
doing
low on
really good.
him, but ever since back in the day when he was with the Indians, like when he got traded over to San Diego, I was like kind of worried because he's going to be in the same division with the Dodgers, and then he ended up being out for the whole first season.
He got
Back with the
hurt.
Padres, and maybe that's what's kind of held him back for the past couple of seasons, is that
The
he
injury.
was out for so long, for a whole year, and then he comes back and he's just not the pitcher that they expected, and then
Yeah,
he ends up getting signed by the White Sox, and
this game moves
this
so fast, man.
yeah, seriously.
Like 1 year out, and whatever was working for you last year is a thing of the past, and every time you throw it, it's just getting cranked out of the park. I feel like Clevenger was overlooked by San Diego, and they should have just kept him, bro.
Yeah.
I would much rather have Clevenger than Rich Hill
Oh
or
yes.
Seth Lugo. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like the upside, he's so young too. He's well, not so young,
I
but
think he's
but he's
31.
how old is Rich Hill?
40. 42.
You know what I mean? You're probably giving Rich Hill the same type of money that you probably would have been paying Clevenger.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably for better
and
production too.
I don't know. But hey, I'm glad he's gone too. Because like you said, he's in our division. So, uh,
Oh, shit.
um, yeah, I like you said, a lot of these guys are viable. My least favorite will be Littell by far, and
Yeah.
everybody else is like I will probably run them.
Yeah. But out of all these five, I would definitely be looking to add any of these. You have our favorites, and you can choose your favorites for yourself. Honestly, if any of these guys are available, I would be looking to add. And that is basically our show. We gave you a lot of information today, a lot of injury updates. Pete Crow-Armstrong, 2-star pitchers. Tony Snap, thank you for joining the show. I really appreciate you covering for Hobby today. Whenever you want to come on the show, you're more than welcome, man. Whenever you have time, I know you got work, you got family and kids, and you're on the West Coast, so the timing is a little bit harder for you. But anytime you want to come on, you can always hit me up, and you are more than welcome to come on anytime. I
For sure,
appreciate you
for
for
sure.
being here. So I'm Will Power. This was Tony Snap. This was Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. And we hope to see you guys next week. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, please download and hit that follow button. Thank you very much, guys. And we'll see you next week.